With 50 plus years of combined produce, supply chain, entrepreneurial, and business experience, Craig, Slate, and Ed Bertaud discuss the impacts of fresh produce on their lives and health. This podcast is a casual conversation between two friends just trying to get better. This is the Fresh CrEd.
Welcome, everybody, to the Fresh CrEd podcast.
How about another episode of the Fresh CrEd podcast?
All right, another episode. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Fresh CrEd podcast with Craig and Ed. Glad to have you all with us. This is our 9th episode, so we're excited to be here today. It's a special day here for the nation, so we'll get into some of that. But we are celebrating 4th of July today and the independence of the U.S. And so I'd like to dig into that. I think that's going to be a central theme today as we get into that. So, Ed, how are you, sir? I see you look well. You've got your patriotic red shirt on.
Thanks for noticing. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Happy 4th of July.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyway, 4th of July, you got, I guess, like I say, you've dressed appropriately for it. I failed to put on any patriotic colors, just my gray and black, but, I don't look great in red, so I didn't go with that today. But you did. Anything else planned, or you just wearing the attire? You got a big plan for today, which cooking up something good and healthy, or
it's still
fireworks?
Early. It's still early. There will be fireworks, whether we choose to partake or not. I mean,
so what? Now, wait a second. Now, is that like is that you mean there's going to be fireworks in the Bertaud household, or is there going to be fireworks like outside that you'll be watching?
Actually, not. I mean, the Bertaud household is at 50% capacity right now. So I was traveling all week. Got home late Friday. My wife had already left to go visit family, and I wound up. That happened before I had these plans for a business trip. So I actually came home, and she had already left. So I haven't seen her in a week.
Oh,
a little more than a week. And then Lainey's at camp. This is her second week, starting her second week of camp.
Awesome.
So Bryce and I will either cook here or go to a friend's. But what I meant about the fireworks is that they are in no short supply. Unlike everything else, there's plenty of fireworks. So that doesn't seem to be something that there was a shortage on, because people have started already several days in advance. And I'm talking, the big boy stuff, the big mortars. For those of you that don't live in the state of Texas, they get pretty big.
Yeah.
Like professional grade fireworks.
That is. It's amazing the amount of money. Particularly, and other places as well. I mean, it baffles me that in Arizona, in Tucson, no less, which is a desert, which is known for not getting a lot of rain, although it is, fortunately, it is monsoon season in Tucson. But, in Texas, everybody's big into it, spends fortunes. I mean, like you said, you could literally go to someone's backyard and feel like you're at some city-sponsored fireworks show. It's insane, what people do there. But in Arizona, unlike Texas, they sell fireworks at the grocery store, for crying out loud. You go to Safeway, they got fireworks there. And they pop them city, country, whatever. And I'm just thinking, man, of all the places that you would really think you'd want to have, because wildfires are a real deal. You would think this place would be like no fireworks for 1,000 miles, but no, everywhere, everybody. And they say they don't put on quite the show they do back in Texas. It's, the old adage, everything's bigger in Texas, and literally the fireworks show, absolutely, they are much bigger. So,
yeah,
I know, just sounded odd that they have fireworks everywhere here in Arizona.
Technically, even here in Texas, in most cities, it's not technically allowed. You're supposed to be in the county area, outside of city limits to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be enforced very much, but it is dangerous. All jokes aside, we know some people that had an accident, that had a child that had an accident, and it's nothing to mess around with. We do typically several mortar tubes, and I've devised a way to put the tubes themselves in a cinder block. I've always been worried about one of them, falling over and shooting this projectile towards, people. So it is, you have to be very, very careful. And even then, obviously, accidents happen, or they wouldn't be accidents. So it'll be a little late by the time this podcast posts, but hopefully everybody's safe and careful today, and there are no injuries, or at least limited.
Well, and I saw a statistic this week on that, and actually, firework injuries, as much knowledge, they're actually up. They're on the increase in terms of people getting injured. And you talk about now we didn't use the giant ones back when we lived out in the country on 5 acres. We didn't, like I said, we didn't use the mega ones that some people use. I'm a little too cheap for the mega fireworks, so I went a couple of levels down. But they were still, they had the little mortar tubes and stuff like that. For old cheapo Craig, it worked out great. Everybody thought it was something special.
So I'm assuming that you just saw money burning. Like
I did.
You might as well just throw it in the trash and light it on fire.
And when I lived there, so a lady that this is, we're going, we're probably getting way off in the weeds on the firework thing. But anyway, I met somebody who, they didn't sell fireworks, but they had gotten some kind of license or something to where they could buy them wholesale. Yeah, this is true. And so I got in on her program, and so I was able to get wholesale pricing on fireworks. And they mark up fireworks significantly, but let me just tell you that. But the point of this story was you had your cinder block and your safety measures in place, which is the kind of guy you are. I didn't. Granger was much younger then. And, we let the kids pop the fireworks. Yeah, y'all go have some fun out there. Well, that worked out until Granger came up with a couple of good ideas. And one of them got knocked over in the process of all of them going off. And it did exactly that. It was shooting, it was shooting out of the tube into the pasture. We started a fire. It got exciting. But
I bet.
Yeah, but I think we quit fireworks shows pretty much after that episode.
I think that's a good idea.
I think it did not.
I wouldn't go back to your 4th of July party. That's for sure. I mean, I am way too nuts about that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've got a buddy that calls me Safety Patrol because, and it's safety. You would
have not been happy at the Craig Slate show
with a little sprinkle of OCD on top of it. But yeah, that kind of stuff drives me nuts. I mean, I'll have, the bucket of water, and I make sure it goes out. And, mind you, as a child, I inadvertently started a pretty large fire. And, this was out in California, and, in the dry time of the year, I mean, the grasses out there basically bake out when it's over 80 degrees. And it left a lasting impression on me. Let's just leave it at that.
I don't know if we want to leave it at that or not. That's sounded like something more to that story. Did you burn anything of relevance down in that process? Did you go
actually did. So,
oh my gosh.
Aside from the 4 or 5 acres worth of grass, yeah, there was actually a brand new trailer. My dad was in the trucking business, or still is, and had a brand new trailer that he had purchased, and I burned all the tires off of it. So I don't really want to talk about this though, but
yeah, this is, man, I didn't realize the fireworks show was going to take us this far into a deep seated bad memory, but wow. Yeah. I can see how you might be.
I was like 6 or 7 years old, or 8, 9 years old. No, I was just playing with matches. What you're not supposed to do, play with matches.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, like I say, I mean, Granger is a couple of times. That can happen as a kid. We used to have a burn pile, and he thought it'd be a good idea to add to the burn pile and touch off the grass that was around it. That kind of got out of control, but fortunately, we didn't burn anything up. And I don't know if he has any bad memories from it or not. The fireworks show fortunately nobody got hurt. It became a good story.
Yeah. Sounds like you should. Well, both of us really should just be observers and leave it.
I am. Yeah. At this day and age, it's cheaper for me to watch somebody else pop theirs. And
It does
it's
get
safer.
expensive. I mean, you know, you go to there's a warehouse down the road from my home, and man, you could spend on one mortar package that comes with like 8 tubes. You could spend like $300, $400. The last year when I did buy some, the ones that caught my eye, you know, they have all of these packages with the high graphics and really cool looking stuff. Well, there was this one box over in the corner that looked like it was just calling my name. It was all brown with black lettering. It looked like a military box, basically. And I started reading on there that had, like, I think the max, is it gunpowder that they put in fireworks? Or
Yeah, pretty sure it's gunpowder.
okay.
Yeah.
I think 80 grams per, you know, projectile, I think is the max. Well, these were maxed out. You know, it was almost like this, you know, danger, do not, you know, like it seemed more,
it
seemed more dangerous. I mean, it seemed bigger, better,
you want
more
something edgy.
Yeah, you wanted something edgy. So
Something
I got those, and they didn't disappoint. But you know, now they make them with like 2 and 3 shots per mortar. So if you put up 4 tubes, you know, you literally could have 12 explosions with one lighting, which is pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, that's not what 4th of July is all about. It's definitely not. It's not what I was reflecting on this morning, trying to be, you know.
What is it about? I thought it literally was fireworks.
Well, let me tell you.
Enlighten me, please.
I thought about patriotism this morning. You know,
did you?
I consider myself a pretty patriotic person. I was actually thinking about, where does it come from? You know, why? Why is it that, other than the fact that I'm kind of a crybaby, but like I can literally cry at a well-sung national anthem. Is that right, Laura? Sung, right? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have many feelings of patriotism. And as I was shaving my arms this morning, I was thinking about whether or not our forefathers and foremothers would have been doing the same. Mm-hmm. And I felt a little ashamed. Like, it didn't seem like what the tough.
No, nobody's now. You wait a second. Nobody's listening to anything you're saying at this point in time. After you said you're shaving your arms, everybody quit listening to that. It's like, what? What did he say? They just hit rewind.
Let me explain.
Did he say he's shaving his arms?
Let me explain.
Please, Ed. Please explain, because I know you're not speed skating or speed racing to, you know, reduce the.
It's in the name,
draft or win.
It's in the name of skincare. So I tend to be pretty furry on my arms, as my daughter would say. And what I find is I won't use sunscreen this time of the year, as you know it, in Texas and in a lot of places, super hot, intense sun. So it's kind of messy. You know, the sunscreen on my arms is messy when you have a lot of hair. So I just knock it down. You know, not to get gross, but so that when I do use sunscreen, it's not such a mess and it doesn't get all matted down. So, hey, judge me if you will. But again,
not judge. I mean, that's
safety patrol.
But we had to get clarity before you continued on with your patriotic songs and all that. I wanted to stop, you know, for the listeners and make sure we covered the hair. And you know, and you mentioned that knock it down. Mm-hmm. That is a coined Ed Bertaud phrase in the Slate household. I get the, hey, Craig, maybe you should knock it down every now and then, you know. So just so you know, that's used by mi esposa.
That's nice.
So
I love being quoted.
Well, you are quoted. So
yeah.
Anyway, meanwhile, back
at the ranch.
At the topic we were well, I don't know. Yeah, back at the ranch. I wasn't really sure, so I was kind of concerned with that. Yes. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, and Anyway,
Shaving my arms, 4 fathers, 4 mothers.
yes.
I guess I was just thinking
shaving your-
about, our founding fathers and mothers, how tough they were, and how, folks that settled this country, and that, just their spirit. Have you ever read any Louis L'Amour books?
No,
Okay,
I have
not
not.
a Western novel.
You know,
reader?
I'm not a fiction reader for the most
Mm.
part. Anything that I'm reading, I mean, this is just how I'm wired. But if I'm doing something, if I'm not benefiting from it somehow, um, I'm 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 not really good at entertaining myself. I kind of have to have an objective with whatever I do, and
Interesting.
it's yeah, it's a little weird. But yeah, so I'm not a fiction reader, so no, I've never. It's not I've had anything against those. I just, if I was going to read, so reading only recently became something that I, quasi enjoy
Hmm.
doing. So I've never been much of a reader. But anyway, continue on.
Well,
Louis, I do
it
know who
made
it
me
is.
think of there's a series within his novels called The Sacketts, and it's about a family that settles the West, and they talk about their journey over the course of several novels from the East
Mhm.
to the West, many of which experienced it on foot, which is pretty insane if you think about it. Traveling on foot from the East to the West. And there are other obvious occurrences and instances, everything from, well, I don't want to say the Donner Party. That was kind of, that one ended poorly, but,
There were some that
they
didn't end
didn't
quite
end
that
quite
way.
well,
Yes.
but just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
resilience and the conviction. I mean, it makes me feel soft when you think about what people did years ago, and even now.
So
frankly.
here's what. So yeah. So I was on a drive somewhat east to west this week, and the country, when you get out west, there's some desolate areas, right? Even still today, right? There's not much inhabitants going on in some of these places. And I was talking to Ty. It's like, if you left the East Coast, and it's at that time in terms of, I mean, it's relatively developed, right? And you've been trudging for weeks at this point in time, maybe months by the time you get to Nevada or whatever. I mean, you've come over the Rockies. That in itself, I'm trying to even think. Maybe they went down to El Paso or something. I don't know. I don't know what they did to get across there.
It went right through the middle. Most of them went right through. I mean, it depends when you're talking. I mean, you're talking gold rush time.
I'm talking about when they were the first settlers are
Mhm.
coming out and the wagons
Mhm.
and making their way across, the early settlers for the West. But when you hit Nevada, right, you've just come through, you left the East Coast, you had some pretty nice trees, maybe you didn't like the bugs. You go through Colorado, and at this point in time, I just, Tanya will be tired. She'd be like, you know what, Craig, this idea that you got to go to the West Coast, that was great and all, but I'm not. I don't think we're going any further. I think this is going to be as far as west as
That, or you're running out
But
of.
if
I think in this novel, the novels that I'm speaking of, they basically survived on dry meat and chicory coffee. That's what they had. Like, that's what they packed the whole way. So anyway, but so the slates are at Nevada. You're out of beef jerky and chicory coffee. What happens next?
you convince your wife that this place that you're going to, that you've seen pictures of, it's amazing, we got to keep going, and all of a sudden you find yourself in the middle of the stinking desert for a long time. You've just left. I mean, it's like, at what point does somebody say, "Oh man, we got to keep going. It's going to get better." You think about how great it's been, what you left. You're in the midst of the desert. I mean, there is nothing out there. There's a bunch of, there's mountains and stuff. I mean, it's got its own beauty, but it's hot. And if you come at the wrong time, man, it's not only desolate, it's stinking hot, like 120 some days hot. And then you got to say, hey, trust me, honey. Let's keep on going. And, and some people, which I don't understand, the handful of people that stopped there and said, you know what, let's make it here. Let's make a go of it in this desolate place. After we, we can turn around and go back to what we've already seen, or we could keep going on and think it's going to get better. You know what? Let's just stop here. This dirt thing looks great. I mean, you've been to Tombstone and places like that. I don't know. My whole point of that is the people and taking the initiative to leave. But then as you come across the country and you see quite a few wonderful places that look good to stop at, and then you find yourself in the midst of the desert to continue on and not turn back, that had to take a lot. You've been on the road a long time. You've got to be pretty optimistic that you're really going to see the promised land. Now, the payoff, when you come over that last mountain range and you see the Pacific Ocean, payoff is immense. Mm-hmm. Hey, maybe that's symbolic of freaking life. You ever thought about that?
Whoa.
I just thought about that.
You just blew my mind.
I mean, just think about it. Yeah, it's, sometimes you're in the midst of a desert and you've got to ask yourself, do I turn around and go back? Or do I just keep pressing forward and find myself on the Pacific Ocean with the waves slapping and the cool breeze always? Man. I just had a moment right here on live.
Enjoy it.
Podcasting.
Enjoy it, buddy. So,
wow, we took that independence. So, yeah. So, anyway, you're eating beef jerky and coffee today for your
I could do that. I have plenty of coffee and I have plenty of beef jerky. So, that would probably throw some folks. Yeah. Might not be a bad idea. I ate more than usual this week. As you know, I was traveling and for some training, and it was a week-long deal, Monday through Friday. Left early Monday morning, got home I literally got home at midnight. Well, 11:30 Friday night, delayed flights. It was I don't know what I was thinking when I booked my travel, not realizing it would be 4th of July weekend and that folks would start traveling again. And it was a zoo. The whole experience. Not only had it been the first time I've traveled by air since COVID, literally since February of what was it, 20? Yeah. I hadn't traveled by air, so I've been pretty neutral on the mask thing. I've worn my mask. I don't give anybody any hassle about it, especially post vaccination. But wearing the mask from the minute you walk into the airport to the minute you get out of your destination airport, it's a long time. It's a long time. And it wasn't too bad with the exception of when I nodded off, it would wake me up, the restriction, the air restriction. I'd nod off and then all of a sudden, I guess I wasn't getting enough air and it would wake me up. So there was no way I was going to sleep with a mask on. I just couldn't do it. But it's, it's necessary. It's what we're doing and I'm compliant. But it just wasn't fun.
It is not. But now, okay, if you get food, you can take it off while you're eating.
So much. So yeah, I mean, when I drank something or ate something, sure, I took it off. But I think the sleeping thing was the hardest part, especially on such a long trip. But I started
that would be
where I was going with that. You jokingly said I was going to eat beef jerky and drink coffee all day for 4th of July. Well, I ate more than usual. Not bad, just more frequently than I would when I was at home. So yeah, I could probably use a little fasting this weekend. Although I've put in some miles already, working it off. But yeah, I definitely gave myself some green lights this week.
Oh, nice, nice. So you had a good week. You traveled. I mean, anything of relevance come out of it? Did you? So you didn't do any fasting? Did you do fasting? Did you eat just a bunch of junk?
Um, what I think what I saw the biggest difference with was the breakfast thing. So I had breakfast, I think 3 days, and I really try to stick to proteins, like just the eggs and just the bacon or whatever. And I still felt a little sluggish.
Right.
And that last day, that second to last day, we had some exceptionally heavy lifting to do mentally. And so I tested it and said, okay, today I'm not going to eat breakfast and see if I perform, or if at least I think I mentally perform better. And I felt like I did. So there's something there. And I'm still kind of messing with it. But for now, I do feel like if I need to be as sharp as possible, just coffee and water, and not eat until after I've performed whatever task I need to. That's that's
Right.
mentally taxing.
No, I think, yeah, certainly. Fasting will help, or at least does me. I mean, it gives you a bit more clarity. You're a bit more awake. In that early part of it, like say skipping the breakfast, I think is a good idea. I mean, I usually I run or I do exercise. Typically first thing in the morning when is when I'm and we call this fasting. I mean, fasting really, I think you have to put in 24 hours to be under the technical sense. But anyway, yeah, this intermittent or light fast, not have eaten in like 10 or 12 hours, 15, 16 hours like that. I mean, it does give you some clarity. And like I say, I work out at that stage, and I prefer it. I don't like trying to work out in the afternoons if I've eaten recently. Within an hour and a half or something like that. You're heavier, you're sluggish.
Yeah.
It's not as good. So, but now there's all this talk. The fasting thing is so Jack Dorsey, who is the CEO for Twitter, as well as dadgummit, he's a double CEO, which he faced a lot of grief over. It's one of the banking, not Coinbase. It's what is it when you charge? People use the little clip on their phone to do charges. Like you want to charge somebody. Hey, Laura. Square. Thank you. See, it's a little square, and you plug it in. So he's CEO. I mean, he's CEO of both of those companies, and he's a known an intermittent faster. He's got a whole diet program that seems wonky, but he's now under. I saw some article. I didn't get into the article, but some of this fasting and intermittent fasting and dietary restrictions and all this kind of stuff that's going on now, it's getting heat that it's a eating disorder, right? So there's questions on whether all these restrictive diet programs and things that like what we're doing and what other people are doing now, it's getting into the concern of, people that do they have eating disorders, or, are they now what used to be, like anorexia or whatever, when people didn't eat, or we or people that are doing this covering up that with these eating disorders with this thing that is now called fasting, right? So I don't know. It's an interesting take, but it's like anything, right? I mean, I guess you can do
anything
too much
could be dangerous.
of anything and it not be good for you.
I mean, I also believe that intermediate fasting and then gorging is not, and it's not for me. I mean, I still try to eat, healthy after, fasting. And I think there are folks that actually gorge, after fasting, and I don't.
But if you gorge on, is it bad to gorge on broccoli and lettuce? I mean, people, I just wonder, I mean, some people talk about, trying to even limit, I mean, salads still have calories or this, that, and other. And certain vegetables, carrots and stuff, I think are not keto friendly. I mean, there's certain things but I mean, can you really eat now in the fruit family? I mean, I get the fruit family that you potentially, because it's a lot of sugar, right? You can't gorge on bananas or whatever. I mean, it's a ton of stinking sugar in those. But when you get to broccoli or lettuces or cauliflower, can you overindulge? I mean, that's a question. I'm throwing that out there. Can you overdo it? I'm going to put that to you, Ed. Can you gorge on broccoli?
I don't think so. I guess when I meant gorge, when I refer to gorge, I mean eat with reckless abandon just because you're fasting 18 hours a day. Then when you do eat, everything under the sun. Yeah, stuff like that, right? So I don't quite, I'm not on that program. I can't be.
For me, it needs to be you got to maintain, when you do eat, good eating habits, and try and practice some discipline in that as well, which is a great segue into a new
can I say
section,
one thing that I'm
segment
grateful
that I
for, though?
have. Yeah,
So through the process
please.
of intermediate fasting, I did find the one thing that I've found travel, what I found to be better with travel this time around for me was just not being overly concerned with where my next meal came from. Like flight delays, like historically I would be wrapped up with, oh my God, what am I going to eat? And I've got to plan my meal, and I've got to take some stuff with me. And what if the plane's late? And what if we're stuck on the tarmac and I'm going to starve to death? And, so now I just was like, well, I'll eat when I eat, I mean, I can tough it out. I've experienced hunger. And unless I go 24 hours, I'll be okay. So, and that's pretty liberating,
Right.
Just in and of itself.
Being grateful, that's something we should try and do every day. Find something to be grateful for.
You're going to be deep again. I see it coming.
I my whole genre is now deep. I feel like I'm in the ocean all the time now in life. So it's just, I just hope I don't drown.
Well, that's a segue.
Anyway, back to what I was going to say. So, two things I want to add to the show, which now, you triggered something else. I might want to add three, but at least two. One is going to be our section called What You Eating. Now, what you eating could be about something special we're cooking or going on with, or it could be like what you've done. You've already kind of done your what you're eating a little bit. Maybe we'll get a little more exploration into it. And the other one's going to be your favorite quote of the week, because I know both of us are reading stuff during the week and trying to learn. This whole podcast is about, us on a journey to better our, get better, right? And part of that getting better requires reading other people that have some good ideas. So what you eating and quote of the week. So both of those things are applicable to our journey. And so hashtag what you eating. Laura, you're going to have to spell that because, I'm not the best speller.
There's an apostrophe in there somewhere. Okay. Anyway.
Y'all send that to me sometime.
What you eating?
Yeah. All right. So what you eating, Ed? What did you eat? So you kind of referred to a few things you didn't eat one day, or at least for breakfast. What was your travel? You said eggs.
Yeah,
you said you did a lot of protein. I still had to help stay on your diet.
I didn't eat bread. I didn't. I tried not to indulge. I had one drink, all week. But I also knew that there would be an opportunity for some pretty good desserts, and I indulged in desserts. So, I mean, I still tried to trade off, right? I mean, I didn't just go hog wild on the food, but so that was a sort of a test in and of itself. Just learning to, exercise restraint even when there are no limitations. Limitations are easy to put on yourself when you're at home, or easier. I mentioned we have half of the family's gone. Last night, I'm looking in the fridge, and I thought, should I go get something? Should I make something? I put a steamer bag of veggies in the microwave. Diced up an avocado. Actually threw some pepperoni in there. That was really good. It might sound weird, and a little bit of cheese, and it was awesome. Like, it was really, really good. It was so rich. Olive oil, obviously, salt and pepper. That was my dinner. Like, I'm still nowhere near getting hung up on food as much. When there's something good to eat, great. If not, an apple or two or whatever I need to do to move on. But yeah, this week I knew there would be temptations, and I did let myself have some desserts, but I skipped other things. So yeah, I understand you gave yourself a few green lights this week too, from what you were mentioning on the pre-show call.
I did give some green lights. Well, one was so my normal Saturday, Sunday, typically, I'll cook dinner, but I'm not a breakfast guy. And so, on Saturdays or Sundays,
wait. You're not a breakfast guy, so you don't like breakfast in general? Because I love breakfast. I just haven't been eating.
Oh, no. I used to eat breakfast like if you call what I ate before breakfast. No, I'm definitely like to eat. So it's not that I
So French toast, eggs, crepes, waffles, pancakes, sausage. You like all that stuff?
I do. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's the best.
I'm not a French toast guy. I will say that was not one of mine on my list. But everything else you mentioned in there, slab of bacon and some stinking cakes, pancakes, thick and fluffy.
You just made me think of something. Since I'm not having breakfast, I'm going to propose breakfast for dinner. Like, that's a thing.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah,
that's a heck of a thing. But let me tell you about this though. So this is kind of a brunch what I cook on Saturdays and Sundays, and but it is a scrambled egg, egg whites. So egg whites used to be scrambled eggs, but it's egg whites, kohlrabi. And I will tell you right now, if you want a sub for potatoes, kohlrabi is the answer. Super low carbohydrate. It's a daikon's a radish. Daikон's another option. Daikон's not as good as kohlrabi. I'm trying to think what family kohlrabi's part of. But anyway, daikon's radish and kohlrabi's not. It's something of a family. Anyway, it's a low carb, super substitute for potatoes. Cut them, peel them up, dice them up like you would potatoes. Like I say, asparagus, kohlrabi, sauteed spinach. So onion and onion, spinach, kohlrabi. And you don't have to use these set, but yeah, I mix up the ingredients. But man, you take that, saute that up, and then you can do one of two ways. The healthiest way is, that, and then I am a bacon guy, so bacon is part of this recipe. Or you can use sausage as another great way to do it. So either way, you can mix it up, and you just have basically a brunch hash, if you will. So you throw that in a bowl and go to town on it. Add cheese if you want. No cheese is better if you avoid that. Or you can take and get it's a gluten-free pie crust. You can get them at Sprouts and Whole Foods and probably other places. It's in the freezing section. But you take and you put that hash, so you saute it lightly, and then you put all that in this pie crust, and then you pour the egg white over it, and you stink it and put it in the oven. Man, you've got brunch for the next couple of days if you want. I mean, it's outstanding, and it's like nice and convenient. Cut a couple of slices, take it to the office, whatever.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that's what it is. Outstanding. Yesterday, I took advantage of my healthy eating, and I actually had a hamburger with bread. I had not had a hamburger with bread. Gosh, I can't even remember. One, I haven't had, I've probably since Mother's Day, I think. I'm trying to think when I stopped eating red meat. No, since my fast. Since
was it all you expected it to be? I mean, did all your wildest dreams come true?
It did not. You know what? It wasn't. It was good,
So
but
what was the thought process though
yeah,
when you said, like, were you really rewarding yourself at this point after not having it for so long? Did you
nah.
see it as a reward or was it a convenience?
Convenience. 4th of July, they're cooking on the grill. They look tasty, and the smarter play would have been to opt out of the bun and just eat the beef, right? I mean, because I'm not, like, again, the only reason I quit eating beef is because it's on my allergic food list, right? I mean, I found out that I'm allergic to, and it's relative levels. I mean, it's relatively mild, but I'm allergic to red meat. I'm allergic to stinking chicken, so I'm supposed to eat fish and pork. That's the two meats that fall on my list. And I used to not eat any pork. I was kind of anti-pork. That's a whole history with my daughter Nina and some biology teacher she had. I don't know. Genetically, pigs are very close to humans, like real close. Like they take hearts out of pigs and put them in people, kind of a deal. I mean, and if you've ever, and when I was in college biology, the embryo of a pig. I mean, we actually have tails. Just like, I mean, the embryo of a human and a pig look almost identical at some stage or whatever. Go off on that. So my daughter had a biology teacher sometime say that genetically the proximity felt like that it was being cannibals if you ate that. And then of course, God was not a fan of the pork meat back in the Old Testament. And so I started putting all this stuff together. This is kind of how my mind works, everybody. I start to put together a couple of pieces of data, and then I decide, yeah. So all this being said, I was kind of anti-pork, except bacon. Somehow I don't really think bacon comes from pigs. But everything else, pork, I just kind of stayed away from. Until now, it's stinking the one meat that's not on my allergic list. So I'm like this pork fanatic guy, right? So I've thrown out my old philosophy, and it's like, I guess if I'm a cannibal, I'm a cannibal. I have to be that and move forward because I'm allergic to everything else. That's why I quit eating beef.
Guilt. Sounds
and
like.
so
Sounds like a lot of
no,
guilt.
it's not guilt. It's health, man. There's no guilt. There's not. I just told you I'm allergic to meat.
Okay.
I'm not guilty.
I get it.
I feel guilty that I'm eating pork. I mean, I do have that. That's in my mind. I keep going back and thinking about that stinking biology teacher my daughter had that came up with that theory, put that in my head. So, all right. Wow. That's a long ways, man. Are we still talking 4th of July? I guess that was the theme of the show. So I guess it's okay if the whole day kind of centered around
Yeah, it was,
the 4th
but
of
we
July.
went from 4th of July. We talked about travel, toughness, shaving.
Toughness. Yeah. And making the journey across the
resiliency,
across the U.S., right?
Resiliency. A word, not sure. So the other thing I noticed in my travels this week was, pre-COVID, it seemed like so many road warriors out there basically camped out in Starbucks or coffee shops. And that was one thing I didn't see, this week, where, everywhere you went, every coffee shop you went to, I mean, people were just pretty much set up office and had like binders, and I'm surprised nobody's like carrying in their own file, cabinet, into some of these.
Yeah, file cabinet.
Like all day, or it used to look like they would spend all day there. You just don't see that obviously anymore. So that's kind of a different dynamic.
Gosh, I've had a couple of trips going back, in the early days, when we did Viva. I was just amazed at how short-staffed everything is, and I mean, I know American Airlines is still facing staffing issues. I don't know. Did you have any flight delays or any issues like that? Because what did you fly, American?
I woke up Monday morning to a delay notice. And I didn't go to bed till like midnight Sunday night. So,
getting that good sleep. That's you.
Great sleep. I was going to sleep on the plane. I just didn't know I was going to be suffocated while I was sleeping, so that didn't.
A pillow over your face.
So I did wake up to a delay, several hours. Almost. Well, I did miss my connection. What was nice about American is that they had plenty of flights. So, and I transferred through DFW, so there's plenty of flights out of DFW. So, an hour after I was supposed to leave, I got rescheduled. But they were offering. I was getting email leading up to offering me to reschedule at no charge, and even throughout the week. So that's something different, right? I mean, the airlines used to really gouge you on changes, with the exception of Southwest.
Right.
And now not so much. So hopefully that sticks for a while. And apparently once we got on the plane in McAllen, the issue was the crew hadn't been on the ground long enough for their rest period for the pilot. So they were in town, the plane was there. They just had to wait out that rest period because they had gotten in late the night before. Which sounds like a personal problem, but it's not. It's everybody's when you're flying. Yeah.
So the joys of traveling have not gotten better. They've gotten,
and then on the way home,
I
was supposed to be home Friday night about 8, and it turned into, about 11 by the time we landed. About 1 in the morning the last time I looked at the clock, and then I woke up at 5 to go meet a commitment that I had made to play golf on Saturday. That sounds a lot. That sounds a lot more responsible. So yeah, slept 4 hours Friday night.
Well, now, yeah, you sticked it. You did a little sticking last weekend too, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to forget that.
But actually, after yesterday, I was like on. So, my faith in myself is rekindled. Yeah, you're talking about the amateur.
So, well, yeah, I'm talking about the amateur. Which was that your first
I've
one?
Played it a couple times, but yeah. So I played in the city amateur.
Did you hit anybody? Did you hit any of the audience?
No, I
shot.
No, you didn't.
You didn't have any errant shots.
No, I didn't have any shots like that. No, it was difficult.
Okay, that's good.
Playing well was difficult enough. Like it was difficult enough. It was just the course was. It's funny because I told Callie what I shot, which I'm not going to share on the show. Just assume that it's a big number. But
this
did
show
not
is
come in
about
last,
sharing what's really deep and
last.
personal. I mean, I bet we get emails and letters on.
And that's why I said yesterday.
What did he shoot?
Hey,
we could have a contest.
I was like, wow, it's pretty much close to being the same course. It's the mental part, But no, I didn't do anything stupid. Like I hit a ton of good shots. I felt like over the course of 2 days, and so when I told Callie what I shot when I got home, she's like, "I thought you were pretty good." Like, what happened? But so I'm like, you just don't get it. I said, they bake out, the greens and grow the rough, and then the pressure of, let me tell you, the second day, I was so focused. I was so focused on because I had a hard time. I wasn't hitting my driver the first day very well, right? So,
did you fast?
No, I didn't play fast.
Play fasted?
Maybe I should have. Yeah,
you should do that. You should have.
I wasn't hitting my driver very well the first day, and then the second day, I went to the range early, figured it out. So I was so focused on hitting that first tee shot. It was into the wind, par 5 from the tips, and then they put these like backstops behind the tee box, just like you would see in a professional tournament, so it feels like you're on stage basically, and then you get announced. So I was so focused to hit a good shot that I didn't.
Ed Bertaud, young kid from Gilroy, California.
Wait for the announcer to say my name. Like I got up there, I was watching the group in front of us that they were clear, and as soon as they went, I teed it up and I just smoked. I mean, it was one of the best shots, and it sounded great because of the the barrier behind us, so it, like the echo, it
Right,
was
right,
awesome.
right.
And then I realized I didn't wait till the announcement. And so he said something funny like,
Oh,
and
man.
and then he went into it
Yeah.
like, well, so that was kind of funny. That was a funny way to start off. But no,
New
I
kid
mean,
on the
look,
block.
I didn't shoot the scores I
Ah.
wanted to shoot for sure. Did other people play worse? Yes. Did other people play better? Yes. Am I proud of myself? I don't know why I'm saying. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Am I proud of myself? Yes.
This is
Yeah,
this is just
me
you.
rationalizing. The only worst thing would
Yeah,
be is like,
exactly. Because you haven't even told me the score, so I know when you didn't tell me the score, I didn't even bother to ask because
no,
I
we'll talk
know it
about it.
must be
No, we'll talk about it.
out of this world.
No, it's not that bad. Don't get me wrong. No, but
All right.
It was difficult.
But see, golf is. But you see, the golf. The thing is golf. The beauty of it is, to me, is it is really about competing with yourself. I mean, like I say, for me, that's the thing about that game is, I love to compete. I love competition, but at the end of the day, golf is the one game where you're literally competing. Mostly with yourself, whether you're competing with yourself mentally, overcoming that, or consistently hitting a shot or putting. But it's such a getting better individually kind of, it's, yeah, because certainly I wouldn't play at all if it was about beating anyone, because I would never accomplish, I don't ever accomplish winning. So it has to be about me. But that's the thing, all the sports and everything. It's such an individual thing, and for me, like I say, it's competing against myself and being better than I was the last time I was out, or sometimes when you go out and you aren't as good as you were the last time you played. It's yeah,
that's
it's
what it
an
was about
individual
for me. It was
struggle,
challenging
so.
myself. I was happy to be there. I felt good after my second day. Just again, I would have felt better if I would have shot great scores and won the damn thing. But it's a learning process. There's actually another one in October that I'm thinking about participating in. But no, when you think about a bad score, it wasn't like I was hitting the ball all over the place. Or no, it was like when the greens are as tough as they were, they literally dried them out, rolled, double rolled, whatever they do to them. It's like putting on tile, And so, even with a good short game, if you don't miss on the right side of the green, and you short side yourself on a lot of greens, you just weren't going to stop the ball, to give yourself a chance. So that's where the strokes add up, right? It wasn't that I was hitting it off the planet. It was just those mental mistakes, And yesterday when I played, I thought about all that stuff and actually shot a really good score for me, or what I should be shooting, right, to my handicap.
Right.
And
right.
And just so, I guess, if anything, strategy, sticking to the strategy, setting yourself up for success, accounting for your misses, like all that stuff. That's what I didn't do right. Plus, I didn't hit my driver very good the first day, but I'm ready to do it again. Like, I'm not discouraged. I'm ready to do it again. I had a good experience, had a lot of good shots. Despite that, I didn't perform, or the results weren't what I wanted them to be, but I'm definitely not ashamed of it. Because I've talked to 50 people.
No,
that said,
I think
man, not 50, maybe 20. Like, I wouldn't do that, or why wouldn't you? And they don't want to expose themselves to, like we talked about before. It's an individual sport. I give a lot of credit.
Yeah.
And my son grew up playing competitively, and I've appreciated it more, what the kids go through now that I've done it myself. It's pretty stressful, and it can be pretty lonely, individual sports, when you're not performing. So it's good. It's good pressure to put yourself through. At the end of the day, just having the guts to do it, I feel pretty proud. Wait, I didn't
think
frame
you
that
should,
in the
Ed.
right.
I
I
think
didn't frame that in the right way. Am I pretty proud that I did it? Yes, I'm pretty proud. The only thing that would make it worse is say if I went to the third person and said, "Is Ed pretty proud that he did it?" Okay, I give up. Yeah, so yeah, I did that last weekend. That was tough. I mean, Saturday, Sunday, it was hot and the mental pressure, and then Monday morning jumped on a flight, and then home Friday night. So I've been go. Don't think I've just been luxuriating.
So basically, it's your schedule that caused us to skip a week. Is that what you're saying? Ed was too busy, was he?
That, or I was just out living, doing things so we can talk
Out living.
about.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, just gave us 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I didn't know I was supposed to get out living.
Oh, you weren't living in the meantime? You were just waiting on me?
No, I was waiting
You're
on
eating
you.
hamburgers?
I get to hear your stories. Yeah.
You're busy.
Exactly.
You're busy eating hamburgers.
waiting on you, eating a hamburger and a hot dog, all the things I shouldn't be eating now. Goodness gracious. You got to give me a heads up next time. I'll go out and do some living.
Craig,
but,
don't forget to live this week.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna live it up,
Cool.
baby. So I want to make sure. So we added what you eating. Now let's dive off into what's your quote of the week. Okay.
Well, that's easy.
And
you want me to kick it off?
Yeah. Sure. You might as well kick it off.
You must do.
Kick away.
You must do the things you think you cannot do. Let me repeat that.
Okay.
You got your ears on?
Okay. I'm listening. In fact, I'm going off into I'm getting back in the ocean. I'm getting back in some deep water here. So let me take it into my mind.
You must do the things you think you cannot do. Eleanor Roosevelt said that. So every time I talk to somebody about,
did you do anything this week that you could not do?
Not necessarily. Yeah, a little bit, but it's more the spirit, right? It's more the spirit of the quote. And anytime I talk to somebody about any of these things we've been doing, whether it's intermediate fasting or clean eating or exercise, I get exactly what I've told folks myself, which is I can't do that, or I've got to eat, or I've got to have breakfast, or can't do this, or I can't do that. It's all BS, right? So, yeah, that's my quote of the week. I like it. Attack your weaknesses, basically.
I will tell you, so probably one of the things that I'm proud of or feel the best about that I've done in the last several years was learning to snowboard. Because I'd snow skied and knew how to snow ski, but because Granger didn't want to ski, he wanted to snowboard. I figured if I was going to do that with him, because you can't ski and snow. I mean, you could, but it's you're either snowboarding or you're skiing. It's not usually that you don't do them together typically. It was painful, difficult, and I still struggle to be very good at it. But it is one of those things where something that I could not do, and really after the first day of it, figured I was never going to be able to do. It is.
I've never snowboarded.
One of the most difficult things.
You're making it sound really, really appealing.
It's miserable.
What's the hardest part?
Fear, overcoming the fear, man, because your feet are strapped on that board, and literally there's virtually no room for error. I mean, when you're cutting back and forth on it, you catching it, standing in the line to get on the lift, you can fall down because there's just there's just no real room for error with a snowboard. But yeah, once you're on it, I mean and you learn that the very first time you strap it on your feet, you learn how little control. I mean, you have control, but how focused you have to be. And that's what became on it. And I think I may have said this previously, but the part that I tell people that are in this business, a friend of mine that's a snow skier, owned a couple of companies and sold them and done well. but he's a big skier. He goes skiing every year, and I ran into him at a PMA, and when I was in the midst of doing it, and he looked at me and said, "Why would you do that?" It's like, he's like, "Man, that's miserable," because pretty much anybody that skis, that tries, I mean, you're just like, I'm just gonna keep doing this. I told him, I was like, in this business where we're almost never off. I mean, it's literally a 24/7 business. I mean, we got product in transit constantly. It's a pretty high pressure business, being in fresh produce, product dying constantly, and this, that, and the other. And so I said, it's the one time that I am thinking about one thing and only one thing, and that's snowboarding. Because if you don't focus on where you're at in that moment, you will pay a price. At least I do. I can't think about anything else. And so it's it's literally better than meditation. I mean, it literally takes me to that moment.
Extreme hunting, like out in the cold, in the
exactly, yeah,
wild, and outdoor camping and all that stuff in the snow. It's
exactly right.
Distraction.
Anyway, but that's, your quote is great. I think that is outstanding. Stamp that. You should get a tattoo with that, actually.
Okay, I can do that.
Maybe you should do that.
The next.
So I'm not getting one
by the next podcast.
You know what? You can get it after you listen to Mori or watch Mori.
Okay,
how about that?
Do you have a quote of the week?
I do.
Hit me with it.
So wait. Mine is.
Let me get ready to receive.
Well, so this first thing is not a quote, but it's from I get a newsletter from a gentleman out of Austin. It's called the Daily Stoic, and I've read a couple of his books, and so it's about Stoicism and the ancient Stoics and all that kind of stuff. It's great stuff. Like I say, he's a really good writer and some good info, and so.
Do you want to give a brief explanation of Stoicism? Oh, hold on a second. Somebody's calling me. Oh, Stoicism.
I will do my best to the way I see Stoicism, or the Stoics, right? And it's really about how you take things in perspective. What perspective you have in terms of life and all that goes on around life. Meaning, you react to something happening. I mean, be it tragic, be it a tragedy. Someone they die, or they get really bad sick, or whatever, or you yourself, more importantly, have something like that happen. You get a some kind of a serious diagnosis or whatever. How you receive that information and how you react to that from a knowledgeable perspective, meaning understand, which goes to my quote, but understand that we're dying every day, right? I mean, that's a fact. And so each day, knowing that, are you going to let somebody that says something mean to you, how are you going to let that affect you? If you have the perspective that you know how precious life is, how are you going to receive that, or are you going to drag that through? So somebody says something mean to you and you receive it, you can either choose to let that become baggage, or you can get angry, or you can react in a certain way. Or, as a Stoic would do, is they would take in that information and then they would dissect it and recognize that they're just words. That is just somebody else, and you don't know, you dig into, you don't know where they're coming from and how they got to, you start to think through what they went through. Why are they that way? Why do they feel like they needed to do that? And so you pull it back and you put it in perspective, and you recognize that realistically it's just words. But that's the way you look at everything. People getting sick, losing people in your life, you yourself getting sick, or you it's more about keeping in perspective. And you do the same thing with successes, right? It's the old adage, don't celebrate too much the highs, and don't dwell too much on the lows, right? Keep everything in perspective and keep it at a medium tone. And that's what a Stoic is. They keep everything in perspective, and they try and take in everything at the appropriate level.
So, I hadn't pondered Stoicism for sure until you brought it up. So I don't pretend to know anything about it or philosophy in general. But I did look up Wikipedia real quick, and I think, a brief description, which I think yours was great. But just to add to that, I would say this short couple sentences, which would give folks listening even further understanding. But Wikipedia says that Stoicism is a school of Hellenistic philosophy. And then it goes on to speak about, key figures in Hellenistic philosophy. But according to its teachings, as social beings, the path to happiness or blessedness is found in accepting the moment as it presents itself by not allowing oneself to be controlled by the desire for pleasure or by the fear of pain, by using one's mind to understand the world and to do one's part in nature's plan, and by working together and treating others fairly and justly. I like that definition.
Yeah, that's much more concise than what mine was.
It was good.
So,
it was all good.
No,
I
it's
think
good.
it's super interesting. I'm going to read more about it. I mean,
well, and I didn't know it until I got older, but I mean, I had the luxury. My father was a Stoic.
On purpose?
He never referred him. I don't know how. What do you mean on purpose? I mean, I guess it's. I think all things are purposeful, aren't they? I mean, he didn't call himself a Stoic. Now, it's not like, hey, he wore a badge that said, "Hey, I'm a Stoic" or anything like that. I'm just telling you that I've never met in all my years, in all my life, I've never met someone that had more control of themselves, right, than my father, which wasn't a big guy. But it's crazy. And never did he give me any spanking or anything, right? And my brothers and sisters, we will all tell you, his stoicism and the respect that you had for that, it made you did not want to disappoint him. And that was more powerful than the fear of a spanking or anything like that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but because of the way he lived his life, it spoke so much volumes about him and really how, again, what you needed to live up to and what you had to learn. I mean, and my dad was, his history, his dad was a preacher. My father became a preacher. And then by the time I came along, he'd gotten out of business, but this man literally read from the Bible every day, a little section, a little something. Read, and it was amazing. Those are just little things, but it wasn't that. It was really, it wasn't about
there's
what he
righteousness
read.
in
It
there,
wasn't
right. I mean, you said we're talking about stoicism, but there's
I did well, but like I say, just his control. Which honestly, the only bad news about stoicism, I will tell you this, and this is where it's a challenge in this world of emotions. Is Stoics, they're not emotional, right? My dad had very good control over his emotions, which that can be a little bit. Cold's probably not the right word, but that's basically what it is. That's actually the right. It's hard to have warm and fuzzy when somebody is a Stoic, because, like I said, they are not getting super exciting, hugging you up.
Goes both ways.
When something goes great, but they're also not. Yeah, they're not freaking beating the crud out of you. When things don't go well either, right? I mean, it's like you say, it goes both ways. So there is stoicism comes with the price of that, not having that emotional piece. And my dad was very much. I love him. People ask, who is your idol? I mean, both my father and my mother are the two people that I've got the highest respect for. So and for different reasons. One was emotional, one wasn't, and my my mother's emotion, which Laura can attest to, was
enough for both of them.
Something to be. It was.
She was absolutely amazing. She's one of, I don't know, like one of my most favorite people that I've ever known. like Mama Sarah was the best.
And now I'm tearing up, even talking about her. So I didn't get all the stoicism from my father. I got a little bit of the emotional side from my mom. So.
Well, you're a work in progress.
Laura's. I am. All right, on to my quote. Now that we've gone off, so memento mori.
Say it again.
Okay,
One more
that
time.
is.
Let it soak in.
Memento
Okay.
mori, and that is Latin, and it has to do with more being death, and it's basically be aware or be in the moment and understand that death is it's part of you, and always have that in your mind and be aware of that at all times, and let that frame how you think, which is what brings me to my Stoic quote. So that's the Latin word, and it comes back from the ancient Stoics. I couldn't find who actually said that. It was you can look up. It was part of an art movement back in the Middle Ages.
I
the
looked
1600s.
it up, but I didn't get who quoted it or who said it. But I did get another.
Yeah,
I
I
got
can
the
say
same
I can't
definition,
find.
but just said a different way or described. It says the impermanence of human life, memento mori, which is cool.
So, yeah, and so Marcus Aurelius is my quote, and he was a Stoic. I believe you said he was in a movie too, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Well, he wasn't in the movie, but he was a character.
I misunderstood. I thought he was in the movie. So, you could. Okay, here's the quote: "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." One more time. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. And as weird as it sounds, and Laura can attest to this too, I think about, for the weirdest thing, but long before reading this, that has always been super apparent to me, even as a younger person. Some people might think, and it may be, maybe it's sick in the head or whatever, but yeah, I mean, I've always had the perspective that at any moment you could go, and that helps me frame. Honestly, it's partly what's gotten me on this journey is having that, because guess what? I'm much closer today than to the last day than I was 50 years ago. And so, they call it middle-aged crazy or whatever. And it's something that, again, it's not to be dwelled upon. It's just to be aware of. And like I say, you have, things will affect you a lot differently if you have it in perspective. When people say something to you or hurt you, whatever, you decide whether you want to waste your time letting that be a problem, or if you want to move on, or also how you treat people, right? I mean, it helps frame how you, listen and treat and affect other people, because, you don't want to say something mean and today be your last day. I don't, anyway.
That's some deep stuff.
So, I told you, baby, I'm in the ocean.
Yeah. I mean, you've kind of bummed me out.
Bring your floaties.
You didn't. It's all good stuff. No,
only you would take this as a bum out.
With you.
Oh yeah, no, you're gonna go home
it's
now.
Good. It's deep. I love it. Like, I think I'm gonna be, memorizing that all week. Now that's tattoo worthy.
Yeah.
Somebody passed away this week. I saw 48. I'm 48. Yeah.
Guy at Kroger.
Yeah.
That's the guy. Believe me, when he passed away, dude. I read that article several times. He ran the Dallas division at Kroger.
I mean, it really scared me.
and it was our anniversary.
Congratulations.
My 31st anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
June 30th. Thank you. But yeah, I thought about that, and I thought about, again, it's just like, and a good friend of mine in the business, several people know, a gentleman named Tip Murphy. Um, it gregarious guy, super energetic, and yeah, he was playing golf with his wife on a Sunday, and at the turn had a burger and fell out of the golf cart while she was teeing off, and that was it. No ifs, ands, and buts, man. And super sad, super great guy. But I lost my sister-in-law. I mean, hers wasn't abrupt, but gosh, she was early 50s, and like I say, Tip was late 40s. So yeah, not to. But again, this whole thing is that's we can't avoid that, right? And so it's more important to keep that in perspective and live your days, right? You don't know what day you're going to be at the golf course, and that's going to be the last time you play. And I mean that if you have that in your mind and you frame all that you're doing and making sure you're living, it's huge. I mean, yeah, it's deep, but the reality of it is it doesn't matter if you're Laura's age or your age or even older than us, man. I mean, we're all a day closer than we were yesterday.
Yeah, that I don't want a tattoo of,
So.
but yeah, it's
oh, it's tattooed in your mind now. Unfortunately, this is gonna rattle around that noggin the rest of the afternoon.
No, I'm
man.
choosing life. I think I'm trying to exhibit that every day.
Good.
No, whether or not it's too late and I've done too much damage, time will tell. But I'm trying, and hopefully, I didn't wait too long. It's never too late, as I say, but I definitely, don't want to have those regrets. So, but yeah, I loved your quotes. Maybe next week they could be a little more uplifting. But I'll anything typically. Anything that's quoted that's Latin is typically either war related or brooding or some sort or death related
or something. Yeah. The Latins. They were talking about what was real, man. That was the war and death, and
speaking of which,
pain and suffering was real.
You said you've never watched The Gladiator.
Yes.
You need to watch Gladiator. It's just Gladiator. Russell Crowe. It is.
Is it an uplifting movie?
I'll let you be the judge of it. But Marcus Aurelius is spoken of. So that'll be enough to entice you. Hopefully, no, it's a good movie. Yeah, it's a good movie.
To entice me to watch. Yeah,
it's kind of a
what
classic. Let's put it that way.
It's kind of like books. I don't watch a lot of non-documentaries or what do they call you, mockumentaries, where they take in real life situation make movies. So I tend to focus on things that have some
you're not a lot of fun.
Reality.
That's the problem.
Again, going back to my weirdness in time, but no, wait a second. Hang on. But this is based on Roman Empire, and there's probably some historical truth within the show. I mean, Marcus Aurelius, he was actually a Roman leader, right? So he was a real dude. So there's obviously some truth. So I will be more apt to watch that because of that versus, When Harry Met Sally.
Well, you knew the title, so I'm not sure you haven't watched it, but.
Well, there was a time before I realized that I didn't want to waste my time watching When Harry Met Sally, and I actually went and watched it, so I wouldn't do it again. No offense to whoever was in that movie. That's a few years back. Oh, you know what? That was so far back. Remember the old "You Got Mail"? Wasn't that in that show? You Got Mail.
Yeah.
Laura's shaking her head, so apparently she's seen that.
You've Got Mail was Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, and it was really good. It's an old movie.
Is that it? Ah, yeah, yeah. Weren't they in the
Meg Ryan.
what I said? Harry met
Harry
Met Sally.
in
Who's in Harry met?
Sally. Meg Ryan was, but who was
Mm-hmm.
the other guy?
Get your rom-coms right, Craig.
Apparently.
For God's sake.
Who's this guy?
They don't
Billy
even make those
Crystal.
anymore.
That's all right.
Do they make Billy
Billy
Crystal?
Crystal.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
All right. How long have we been going today, producer? Are we getting close to the end?
Like an hour.
There is no
and
end.
15, 20-ish.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
There's no end, Craig.
There is no end. Well,
There's
going
just
back to my
life.
quote, there actually is an end, but we want to try and move past that, and you've decided to put that in the not pay attention to my quote and go with the pretend like it's not going to happen program.
Well, look, we did skip a week. I've got a lot of stuff to follow up on. You're going to probably say, I didn't watch Mully. Yes, I didn't watch Mully. I'm going to.
You're not going to watch it. It's become now a defiance thing, I think.
No. I want to watch it. I really do. I haven't been home. I literally just haven't been home.
Here's the weird thing, Ed. The rest of us.
Now you don't want me to watch it?
The rest of us actually have these devices that we take with us where you could watch your stuff from basically anywhere. Literally, you could go sit in a park. So the need to be home to actually watch Mully that's not a good excuse. Unless you fail to have gotten any of these devices where you can watch stuff on like a laptop or an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy or something, right? So you're going to have to come up with a better excuse than, I wasn't home.
That sounds scary.
Just saying. Just calling you out, buddy.
All right.
You're doing it out of defiance. It's now become a thing. It's psychologically like, you know what? Craig wanted me to watch. I'm not doing it. Heck, I'm not doing that.
Hey, I don't want to change the subject, but
you do too.
Coffee for wellness is something I'm interested in. I'm going to order it. Now, I've been told by a friend that I could add all of these things to my own coffee, but it's prepackaged, convenient. I'm going to try it, but L-theanine, MCT powder, collagen, cinnamon, Himalayan pink salt. That's what's in it. So I'm going to try that and report back to see and let you know how it went.
So is it good enough to help an old man win a PGA tournament?
It's not that good.
No.
I mean, it could help, I guess, but it's probably not the only reason. But it just reminded me of something I did this week. I tried the old butter in the coffee this week when I was like, there's proof that fat helps brain cognition, I guess. Is that the right term? I did. I think it did help me a little bit. At least if I felt like it did, that was my reality. But felt good.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You're doing all kinds of good stuff out there.
I'm trying. I want to, I want to learn more about this ashwagandha craze too.
That I don't know anything about.
Since I love ginseng, and it's commonly known as Indian ginseng, poison gooseberry or winter cherry. So I'm going to learn more about that and bring it back. As far as foods, I didn't try anything particularly different this week or the last couple weeks. I did want to talk about milk and how many milks do we really need, because it seems like we're making milk out of everything these days. I've had oat milk, almond milk, I guess rice milk's been around for a long time, but it's interesting to see what's going to be milk next.
It's a good point.
Is it a good point?
No, I don't know if it is or not. But it was on your list of things to do. So, oat milk. I'm an oat milk guy, so I don't drink. I'm not a dairy. So dairy. I've quit dairy. Let's another
guess.
one.
Let me guess, you're allergic.
No. So I have another theory through my and I've actually presented this to some people that should know, doctors, and they kind of frown when I come up with this. So maybe it's anyway. So at one time, I read an article, in terms of exercise and everything, and milk. There's I can't remember who the athlete was, but they drink chocolate milk as their instead of muscle milk. They drink chocolate milk or white milk, either one, but they drink it as their recovery drink, right? Because milk it's got growth hormone in it, right? And so if you think about milk, and for all the animals that feed their young milk, it's to help them rapidly grow. You're growing at your fastest rate in that time frame, right? So so the milk and the growth hormones and all that helps you, the bones grow and everything under that rapid development. That's what it's for. So again, I've come to the conclusion. I mean, again, I'm not in the milk business. You know what? Milk board, you want to come after me, knock yourself out. But I think that once we get past the time when you should be drinking milk as a young baby, whatever that is, infant time, right? When you start going to solid foods, you really need to stop milk, right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. There's no other animal that's drinking milk past that time, right? I mean, there's once you're done with that, they go into eating other things, and nobody's existing on that. And there's a reason for that, because again, it's built a certain way. So I believe that possibly, particularly in females that drink a lot of milk, and that they potentially are causing that growth hormone causes things like, cancers or whatever to accelerate as well, right? Because a growth hormone is to accelerate cell growth. That's just what that is. That's what you do with it. And so, yeah, when I was working out and drinking it, I used to drink it as a growth hormone. And then the more I got to thinking and looking and got on this health journey and some of the stuff I read, I was like, I think milk's probably not good for you. In fact, you probably should stop drinking it. And so, yes, I'm an oat milk guy. Used to be an almond milk guy, but I was allergic to almonds, so I had to quit almond milk and go to oat milk. So for those of us that have these allergies, Ed, we need all these dang milks.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. I don't drink milk. I mean, other than what I use in my coffee, but it does have detrimental effects on others. So Bryce had really bad acne, as he'll testify to or attest to, and we took him to dermatologists, doctors. He took medication, much of which was not really good for you, and he figured out on his own dairy. Once he eliminated dairy from his diet, acne just went away. Just completely went away, and now he's very, very disciplined about. I mean, I think he still likes it. Everybody loves dairy. I love cheese. Cheese is a big one for me. But he just doesn't eat it anymore, and never had acne issues again.
There's a smoked provolone, I think it is. It's a fake cheese. It's what I do on my fake burger. And it's good. I don't know about any. It's only really probably the only fake cheese I've tried. So I can't comment on any of them. I don't know the brand. So folks, it's going to be at your local grocery store, but it's a fake cheese. It's like a smoked provolone or something like that. It's super good.
I have to look into it.
Yeah. So, what else, sir? What else? I mean, it's, I know you've got to get on to the day. I mean, you've got to go get your fireworks and pick up your big blast off thing, whatever you were talking about, your camo laden fireworks show.
Yeah.
Smoke show.
They actually make these, it looks like a huge honeycomb. They make these, you light one time and it just does a whole show. But, half the fun is lighting them. So I don't know if I'd do that. It's like $150 deal. You light it one time and it just does.
Really?
Yeah.
That's probably just for the end of the show, though. You do all the regular show and then you finish it with one of those bad.
The finale.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I'm going to keep my $150.
Okay. Sounds exciting.
I'm not going to send it up in smoke. I'll watch somebody else do their fireworks. But yeah, so hopefully you have an opportunity to eat some good grub. Eat healthy today. Stay away from buns. Don't eat buns.
Yeah, I'll have some Fresh CrEd sanctioned fun. Let's put it that way.
All right, that's good. And I know we've got some stuff left on the docket here to get to. We'll have to.
We'll just push it.
Yeah, we'll push it to next week. Keep them coming back, as they say, right? We don't want to, give it all up on this one show. So
yeah.
But I did want to again. So I mentioned the Daily Stoic, which I recommend people checking out. Ryan Holiday is the gentleman that's the writer. He's got several good books. He's got this Daily Stoic newsletter that comes out daily, called the Daily Stoic. Learn a little bit more about Stoicism. I think it's definitely got some merit in there, and probably has. It's probably not all perfect as we talk, but worth looking into.
Sure.
And also, I think you've got some super cool hats made up. Is that correct?
I did. I'd like to send some out to some folks, but they might have to do a little work at the same time. So these are just some, kind of some test caps. And sorry for the noise there. A little different colors. They're too small for my big head, so we might as well give them away.
Is that a figurative reference or a literal reference? Your big head.
I've got it. Well, no, that's literal. No, I don't think figuratively. I think it's just literally.
Oh, you don't think figuratively you've got a big head? Just literally?
Just literally, yeah. So what do they need to do to get a hat while supplies last? Because that was just a test run.
What do they need to do?
What do they need to do?
What do they need to do? Well, I don't know.
Send us some feedback.
We're going to have
we want some topics. We're asking for some feedback, email topics for us to research and discuss. And if you do, while supplies last, I'll send you a cap.
So well, let's just say, what do you say? Let's say 10? Give it to the first 10 that come back.
10
first
email
5 people. Yeah, the first 5 or whatever that come in. You say, instead of while supplies last, then it's this random number.
Okay.
That would maybe that way people will be a little more quick on the draw. In other words, they won't wait around.
Well, I've got 5 for now.
Like, I've
got 5 for now. So
well, let's see how this goes. Let's start with 5, and if it's a roaring success, then maybe we'll expand it and we'll dip into the budget a bit more.
Got it.
But you know what I really want? So as part of this hat giveaway and folks listening, look, man, we've got people literally from the UK. We've got people from France, and we've got somebody from Africa, South Africa, I believe is. But we've got people from all over and multiple people in some of these places checking out the show. Now, I guess there's a chance that some of these places, some of these people may or may not know us. Australia, that was the one I was trying to think of. Australia, so we've got some folks listening from Australia. Well, I'd love to hear from any of you folks that are not in North America. Just let us know how you found us. And, several of you listen on a regular basis. So how you found us and what's bringing you, why are you listening, right? What is it you find? And I will certainly, if you send a note, you don't even have to be in the first 5. If you send a note from anywhere outside of there, I'll make sure you guys get the Fresh CrEd cap, and you can be rocking that over in one of those countries. So anyway, appreciate everybody listening for sure. I'm just super amazed that there's folks outside the country or outside North America, not listening from around the globe. I mean, it just speaks to how big the stinking internet is and how far the reach is. And, we can get on here and yuck it up, and folks will listen in. So just for us, we're just curious as to what brought you here and what can we do more to keep you listening. So we want to make sure we're doing the right stuff and bringing the right messages. So, but Ed, I don't have anything further. I'm going to get in there and get started on brunch. And
sounds good.
It's probably not going to be kohlrabi today.
Probably not. What are you going to do for encore from the hamburgers? You're going to have hot dogs for brunch or?
No, I will probably do burgers today, but I will probably switch mine back to El Faco burger. I'll probably cook burgers for everybody else.
Have you tried portobello mushroom caps for buns? I tried it. It just wasn't. It wasn't a big success. It was kind of messy. Like, I don't know what I did wrong.
I have not.
It was just a little messier than I thought it would be. It sounded like a good idea.
But how nice is it? I mean, seriously, think about a bed of lettuce, a huge slice of tomato, a huge slice of onion. What else do you need? I mean, you don't need a bun. I mean, it's that. I mean, and that smoked provolone cheese that I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, if you have a good quality burger,
get out of here.
Sure, you don't need much. I mean, I think, half the places people go to.
The bread gets in the way.
It's
when you stop eating bread on
it's a cover-up. Half the places you go to.
It's a cover-up. Yeah. I mean, when you're buying a burger and they're championing how good their bun is, that's not a burger. You're at a bakery eating bread. A burger is what's in between the bun.
All right, you're gonna get a lot of hate mail. Let's that hate mail is not getting caps, by the way. So
no caps for hate mail necessary. That's for sure.
All right.
You know what though? Anybody that sends hate mail at this point sat through the entire show. So thank you guys. So I appreciate it. Always stay through the whole show because maybe we'll give you something to hate at the end. That's what we're here for. All right, Laura, Ed, it's been an absolute pleasure spending this morning with you guys. I hope, Laura, I hope you guys have an outstanding day. Man, it's a big month for you. For those that don't know, our producer has. Can you say bun in the oven?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we talked about buns. Is bun okay? Okay. She's having a baby. For anybody that wasn't born in 1955, she's having a baby. That's what they used to say back in the day, a bun in the oven. The kids these days may not know what that means. So
yeah, she's due on the 26th, but we'll see when she gets here.
She's going to come on her own schedule, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds like an opportunity for a betting pool.
Book a plot.
Yeah. Sure.
For those that are into betting out here.
Yeah.
But
that's a healthy lifestyle.
It shouldn't interfere with the show. I'll be still doing my thing.
Modern day lady.
Oh yeah.
That's what we are. She's not going to let. She's going to. In fact, we may have her produce a show while she's having the baby.
While in labor.
Maybe what we try and do. Yeah, because Mason will be there. That could be fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call.
Or we can talk about.
I bet we get listeners
sick that day.
I bet we could.
No
expand
offense, but I'm gonna call in
we
sick
could
that day.
expand our listener base.
Well, I can talk about my natural birth experience afterwards.
You know what? We definitely. That's you know what. That you just put on. We're putting that on the docket. We're gonna do a future show because I will be picking your brain about that because I think that's a wild ass idea you got there, but you've had wild ass ideas before and they seem to work out. So
absolutely.
But I definitely want to have a show where we talk about your natural childbirth and the whole experience. Mason's got to weigh in on that dude too, because isn't he going to be in the tub as well?
Yeah, well, he's going to be helping out. The whole thing. I feel confident about it, and y'all are talking about stoicism earlier. That's going to help me a little bit through it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. It's like I say, You jumped out of a plane. That worked out good for you.
It
So
did, yeah. I feel
should
like
as
I
well.
can handle it. Hopefully everything will be okay.
Oh, you'll handle it. They used to do that back in the old Wild West days. That Louis L'Amour time that Ed was talking about. They were coming across in the middle of the stinking desert having kids.
Yeah.
So, at least you're going to be in a nice bathtub doing it. So, they would have killed for a bathtub back in those days.
Luxuriating.
Yeah.
All right, kids.
Happy 4th of July.
Let's call this dude a wrap. Well, Ed, we're down to the end of another show.
Already?
Before we go, why don't you let everybody know where they can find us and hit us up?
If you'd like to hear more, see more from the Fresh CrEd, follow us on Instagram at the Fresh CrEd, or on Twitter at CrEdFresh, or the Fresh CrEd on YouTube, and listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. What else am I missing? That's it, right?
Pretty much everywhere. Just go online. You can find us somewhere. Just type in the old Google machine, the Fresh CrEd, and we pop up.
That didn't sound like a boomer.
So
the Google machine.
Isn't that what it is?
That's just
come
funny.
on. Anyway, you guys, it's been a pleasure. Ed, I hope you have a wonderful
Likewise.
4th of July, sir. And Laura, I hope you and Mason have a wonderful one. You guys go out there, be safe. Don't play with fireworks. Stay away from bread. And we will see you next time, next week, here on the Fresh CrEd. Everybody take care.
Thanks.
Have a good
See ya.
July.